Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Peak Season Podcast. Happy to have you with us today. We have a banger of an episode. We're going to go deep on guidebooks. Tyler, what do you think about guidebooks?
They're a must. But how you use a guidebook, what channel or what avenues that you create them, I think is a topic that we want to talk about today because I think everybody has different opinions and thoughts, and so we're going to share ours with our guests.
All right. So before we get too deep into the how, let's talk about the what. What are you putting in your guidebook at a minimum, Tyler?
Again, I always just try to put myself in our guests' shoes, right? So I'm interested on directions. How do I get there? What are your favorite places to go? Where do you eat? Drinking establishments. Again, we're up north. So where are the ski resorts? How far are they? What's the address? Those types of things. And then if you have any specialty amenities, Luke, you got the hot tub. I have the barrel sauna. I think having information on there to where if you can provide them the tools and resources, that means less questions, concerns that they have that they're going to message you late at night. And, hopefully you're still awake and can answer it quickly. I think that's the important things that you need to think about.
Yeah. So I kind of start my guidebooks all off with like, hey, at the very top, it's who I am. Thanks for booking. We're excited to host you, because they're seeing this well in advance of their trip typically, right? It's got a picture of me and my family there. So this is a family run business. We go straight into directions, how they can order groceries ahead of time with links to our grocery delivery service.
Yep.
From there, we get into points of interest, local attractions, best places to stop on the way in. And then we're getting into the nuts and bolts of the house. So for one property, I've got instructions for how to operate the wood stove. And what I do for that actually is I just record a YouTube short and I link it right there in the guidebook. And I've got another one with how to open up our geodome. I've got information on how to run the hot tub, frequently asked questions, closest emergency rooms, urgent cares, pharmacies, just all sorts of things that are going to show that I'm going above and beyond to provide a great experience for them. And, if they use 20% of it, that's probably a lot, but it's all there just in case. And it's another way that we can be proactive and make sure that we're getting ahead of the curve as far as guests reaching out and not knowing what to do.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think how you structure it, I think always starting off with that introduction of who we are as the host. But I think another important one I like to include is I think I call it prepare for your adventure. And within there, I'm talking about what is it that we offer? Because a lot of guests have questions. Actually, today I got a guest that asked me if we had a cheese grater. I'll be honest with you, I don't know if we do. I told her no because I'm like, I don't think that we have one. Like that, to me, that's not something that's a general appliance or utensil that's used. But it's still nice, to know. But what do we include? Are we a one toilet paper per house kind of place? No. But I want guests to know that, right? Because if they're staying for a whole week, I want them to know that they're covered, and what they need to probably plan on bringing if they plan on needing more than what I offer.
Mm-hmm. I like that. So we talked about what is in the guest book. How are they getting it typically?
So this is where there's different modalities, right? For me, I use TouchStay. And so I have a link from TouchStay, which is then driven to, it's connected to Hospitable. And so when I get a booking link, I have that programmed into as a shortcut or a short code in my Hospitable. And then that, thanks for booking. We're excited to have you. Here's our digital guide, messaging along that line. So they're getting it right at booking. So they have access to it at that point. But I give it to them multiple touch points just as a reminder, especially as it's getting closer. How about you?
Yeah, similar thing. Right after they book, they get a link to the guidebook. I have used TouchStay in the past. Right now, I have them built out as individual websites just because I like to have the additional control. So typically it's whatever the property name is. So propertyname.com/guidebook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I also like to do that because Airbnb doesn't allow us to send out our direct booking websites or information about that even in the guidebook. So they do scrub that, but I do have my direct booking website linked sort of throughout the guidebook. Like, so if they click to go home, they go to my direct book website.
Right.
Or if they see 7pinechalet.com/guidebook, they're going to go to 7pinechalet.com and they can book direct. So they might still cancel the reservation and book directly through my direct book, which
I think
I'll appreciate.
That's a smart thing to think about because up till what was it, last year sometime, it wasn't too long ago where, because I had on my TouchStay, like, book again and save. And it was our direct booking link, right? But now Airbnb's scrubbing that using AI to scrub data to see if us hosts are using any other modalities to try to get people to book off of their platform. It'll be interesting to see. I hopefully that doesn't get caught up in their search, but it's genius in my mind. Like you said, if they see whitebirchcabin.com/guidebook, all I got to do is remove guidebook, and I should get to your main page.
Right.
So that's a
Yep.
good.
Exactly. And I just have like, even at the very top, I have a picture of whatever cabin it is. And then
Yeah.
if you click on that picture, it takes you home to the homepage of the cabin. So I don't feel like that's putting it too out there for them, but they can find it if they have a will.
Right.
So, all right. So let's get into the different ways that people might be doing guidebooks. And I think I have done almost every single one of these except for one.
Okay.
So we can go pretty in depth, but we're going to go from lowest tech to highest tech, I guess. Right.
Okay. Let's do it.
All right, so let's go with the old school analog book that sits on the coffee table. What are your thoughts there?
This is definitely how I started, right? So I think I used Canva to create my first digital guidebook, and I thought it was pretty spiffy. I spent hours on that sucker. It's great, and it can still be used, guys. If you're just starting out, I still think that there's some nice things about having something physically there, especially if your avatar, like maybe they're older, right? They're older age, they're not millennials or anything like that who's so used to digital and they want a physical paper copy. There's still some validity to that, which I think guests do appreciate. I think where I struggled the most, and I told you this, Luke, before we started, is like I had to update something and I don't live nearby, and I'm like asking my cleaner to print this off and then find a 3-hole ring, punch hole to put it in my folder. And it's just not the most, it's not the easiest way to do it nowadays. Right. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I have done that. And actually, I still do have a physical guidebook at one cabin. And it was the same one that you left there when I bought it from you. So yeah,
so nice. It's that
it's nice. It's I don't know where you got that, but it's branded leather cover. I was like, well, I should put something in here. But what I've went to doing is I kind of put evergreen stuff in there that would be like, I'm not going to have to change it. Put stuff in there that's going to be set. And that way, and I do just print out like I'll print them out at CVS or whatever and throw them in my backpack whenever I go up there and just replace them. But it is something that I have to kind of stay on top of, which isn't great. But I have had people comment on it and they like it. Yeah. So I'll keep doing it. But I do have a digital guidebook that backs that up. Yeah. I don't know that. So on my other properties, I don't really think that I would go through the process to make a whole nother physical guidebook. But if there's one there, I'll keep it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. I agree. Again, I think there's still a lot of people that like that physical guidebook, but is it the most ideal? No. And do things change? Not all the time, right? Like how many times do you really go in and update your guidebook? I don't know that I do it a ton unless I'm adding a new amenity or there's, but there's things that have happened where like for my TouchStay have been awesome lifesavers. Like I found out what was last year. So not this winter, but the prior winter, one of our favorite places to eat there, Torchlight Cafe, decided to close over winter. And I'm like, oh, I saw it on Facebook. So, and it was happening like a week away. I was like, so I just went in there and I put close from X to Y. And it took me 2 seconds to do, which was super nice.
Yeah, for sure. So moving on from the standard old school physical guidebook, the next level up from that is actually to create one on Canva and then have it linkable.
Yeah.
So the advantage to this is that you can share it via link, you can update it easily, and there's no subscription cost.
Yeah.
So your tech stack isn't growing. You don't have to have like a premium Canva subscription even to build one in there and just give them a Canva link.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you were doing that with the physical guidebook too, right? Just sending a link to that document. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Right.
Exactly. Yep. So, again, I think it all depends on it. I never had any guests complain about my guidebooks, regardless of whether it was through Canva or through TouchStay or whatever. So, it's hard for me to say don't do it or this one's exponentially better. I can just talk about my experience personally and what I prefer. But I think, again, there's that big point, Luke, and we'll talk about this with the other ones. There's fees included. TouchStay does have a cost for me. So if you're starting out or you're unsure, go with some things that are maybe free and try it out, I think is my thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's pretty foolproof just to use Canva. Have a a document on there that is living, you can go in there and update it easily. Pretty simple. And with, I mean, ChatGPT and Claude both have plugins into Canva now, so they'll actually help you create it and design it. And I mean, you could whip out a pretty nice guidebook with AI pretty quick.
Yeah. I
It's hard
think
to go wrong doing that.
I think that that's where, in full transparency with Canva, like I'm not the best at that stuff. Like that's just not me.
Yeah.
So maybe using AI would be helpful now and seeing how it can build out because, when I did TouchStay, this was 2 years ago. I mean, AI was around, but it wasn't like as prevalent as it is now, right? So it would be interesting to see how it does because like TouchStays and others are just they're templated, right? So it's just like you put in your information. You can add a new category or subcategory if you need to, but it's all right there. And it's kind of, I hate to say this word, but I'm going to use it because it's, for me, it's dummy proof.
Yeah.
Where Canva takes a little bit more creativity and time, I think. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how the platforms, how AI can help you build this maybe and make it just as quickly, if not faster.
Right. Okay, so let's get into the subscription-based ones. We've kind of already touched on TouchStay, no pun intended. So TouchStay is a subscription. Roughly, what does that cost?
So it's $99 annually for one property, and then obviously as you go, I think like 3 properties, it was $150. Right. So it gets cheaper the more properties you add.
Okay. And effectively, that is web-based. You can send them a link to TouchStay. I've used it in the past at a former property. And when I got rid of that property, I just got rid of my TouchStay account. But I liked it. It seemed to work. It did its job.
Yeah.
I did feel like it was, at least back then, it was a little bit clunky to go in and manipulate as far as like finding all the different pull downs and changing them. Because it is templatized, right? So you're having to go into their system and conform to how they want it. But that's good and bad, right? That's a strength and a weakness.
Yeah, agreed. No, and it's still that way. I don't feel like it's that clunky anymore.
Yeah.
And I will say, like they kind of like Hospitable has lately, or has it historically. Like TouchStay is doing weekly messages to their users, like with updates. Like they're doing upsells now and doing videos. You can schedule, one-on-one calls if you need to. So, I mean, I do appreciate that.
That's good. Yeah.
In fairness, yeah. I mean, $100 to me doesn't seem like a lot of money in a full year, but depending on your tech stack and what you're using or how many properties you have, I could see where this could get hundreds of dollars, a year. If you're operating 6, 7, 8 properties, it could get pretty expensive.
Yeah. And like we were kind of talking about offline before we started, like my issue with tech stack creep is you become dependent on it. And then as the prices go up or as you grow your portfolio, like it $100 a year, sure. Like it's nothing basically. I mean, I would rather save $100 if I could, but $100 a year is pretty negligible as far as a cost goes. Right. But if that goes up by 25% and now you have 4 properties, now we're talking about $500 for a year or whatever. I mean, that's like basically buying an iPad for somebody or something, right? Like, yeah. I mean, that's real money. That's, that's a bonus for a cleaner. That's paying a virtual, a part-time virtual assistant for a month, or maybe even a full-time virtual assistant for a month. I mean, those are things that could be, that's real money that could be allocated somewhere that's going to have a very high impact for you.
Yeah, no, valid point. And I know, TouchStay is one of the main ones. Luke, you had shared a link with me not too long ago. One called Happy Guest. Talk to us a little bit about that one.
Yeah, so Happy Guest is sort of like TouchStay, and I'm not an expert on Happy Guest, but I am considering partnering with them. And the people I know that have used them are very, very happy with it. So what they effectively do is they are free to the owner as long as like you have a certain amount of visits every year or something. It's basically free. Like it's like if you have more than 7 visits or something, like you're going to qualify.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, but it's like very low.
Very low.
It's going to be free. And what they do is they build out a digital guidebook for you. They include upsells, so early check-in, late checkout, things like that. And I believe the way they work that is they basically give you a QR code, and when your cleaner finishes cleaning, they're supposed to scan the QR code, and then Happy Guest will initiate a early check-in request with a guest.
Ooh.
And then they take a portion of that as their commission, and that is how they do it for free.
Got it.
But the interface is really, really nice. I've messed with that a little bit. It feels like scrolling through TikTok. So you're scrolling through your phone and like it's very satisfying to go through your guidebook. You can integrate videos, all the things that we could could want to do. One thing I didn't like is it's kind of like beach colory themed, and I think they're working on that. But like the themes did not jive with like a Northwoods cabin vibe like we got
Yeah,
going on.
got it.
But I think that they're working on that.
How does it?
And they build you the guidebook. So when
Okay,
you sign up with them, they actually have somebody on their team build out your entire guidebook. So if you have TouchStay, they'll go into your TouchStay and be like, okay, I'm just
that's
going to
pretty
copy it all over
cool.
for you. Yeah.
Yeah. How does it integrate? I guess my concern, and again, I know that you haven't dealt with them yet, right? But we have upsells and hospitable, right? So do you turn one off? How does that work? And I guess like hospitable has the new tasks thing, which, we can talk about another time. But, I'm just concerned that like my cleaner, hey, you got to go to this one to check out. You got to go to this one to check out. Like, is it pretty seamless? Do we know?
I honestly can't answer that. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I should do a call with them to try and see. But for the very high level portion of it is, and I didn't even get to a lot of it. Like, so they do rental agreements within Happy Guest,
Okay.
security deposits within Happy Guest. All those upsells happen there. And I believe there's one other thing. Now I'm going to look real quick.
Well, you look. We'll talk about it. So I just did a overview. So I did a quick comparison table of TouchStay versus Happy Guest. So I'll talk about that real quick while you're looking at that. So the primary purpose, again, it's guest experience, the guidebook. Um, the ease of setup is pretty easy on both. I would say though, knowing that Happy Guest, like they're going to build it for you, I'd say the setup's even easier. The branding, I think the branding to me, I think it sounds like, there's a little bit more customization with TouchStay where there's still a little bit of tweaks that need to happen on Happy Guest. But one thing that you said and one thing it did call out is it's more app like. So it's probably like what you were referring to with the TikTok and just, the usability may be a little bit easier. But yeah, I think overall there's a lot of similarities. I think the big thing, obviously, Happy Guest is free, where TouchStay you're paying a little bit. And Luke, we can include the links to like Happy Guest and TouchStay in our podcast, maybe just so users can take a look at them and see what they look like. I can even share mine
Yeah,
in case maybe you
for
want to book
sure.
my place. But yeah, no, perfect.
Yeah. So I just looked on the website. It's 10. You have to have 10 reservations a year to get it for free. Otherwise, it's $99. So hopefully, everybody listening to this is getting 10 reservations a year. And then it is. I would say that even though I don't love the colors, the swiping interface of it alone is significantly nicer than TouchStay. But it does. It collects the guest contact info. They sign rental agreements. They do security deposits, and then they can also purchase insurance through that, which you get a kickback of. So there's that whole aspect of it. So I might throw it on one of my properties just to try it out. And I mean, why not, right?
No, that's a great point. You just had me thinking about this. So, what's that system called? A lot of people use it for Wi-Fi where you have to put in like your email address.
That is StayFi.
StayFi, thank you.
Yeah.
So, I wonder if there's a way through TouchStay or Happy Guest where it's like you give them the link, but they have to put in their email address to be able to access the guidebook. Like that would be great.
Yeah.
I'm sure you got to still work with the I agree and accept the terms and conditions, blah, blah, blah. But it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
That'd be an easy way to capture guest emails or
Yeah.
contact.
So I think that's a good way to segue into the final version, which is what I'm
Yeah.
doing right now, which is web based. I control the website. I build the website. It looks however I want the website to look.
Yeah. Let's take
So I could have a pop-up on there that collects an email. I could have it be they can only get to it after they put in an email, which I don't ever want to force somebody to give me their email
I get it.
and opt in, because like I feel like that's just, I don't need their email address so bad that I'm willing to like
You don't get no guidebook if you
right. And ultimately, like, yeah, the guidebook is nice for them, but it's also nice for me. Like I want everybody to have read that guidebook and not be like, oh, I didn't want to give you my email, so I just winged it with your hot tub.
Yeah.
Now, on all of my
Probably
guidebooks,
not
I
in
do
a-
have a clear CTA, a clear call to action on that. It says join our VIP list everywhere, all over throughout that guidebook, and that's the last thing they see is join the VIP list, get exclusive news and discounts. So it is there, and I think people will see it and then maybe join and maybe not. So that is what it is. So we get all the analytics that we would get with
Yeah.
being able to look at what parts of your website are being viewed. You get the customizability of adding in links to whatever you want.
Mhm.
joining your email list, things like that. So it to me, and because I'm already a Go high level user and I'm already paying for all this stuff, it fits within my tech stack at no extra cost,
Yeah.
which I really enjoy.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. I think it would be interesting for us to, I mean, you already did it, I guess, but I wonder if there's a way to kind of use AI to build these out similar to a TouchStay or a Happy Guest just to see how they turn out, right? How accurate they are? Did they capture the categories, the detailed information? Because, I mean, if you can do it in AI, then essentially, effectively, you could just probably build that then within Go High Level.
Yeah. So I mean, if somebody wants to see a decent example of an AI built website, peakseasonpodcast.com.
Yep,
I
exactly.
built with
Yep,
Claude built that for me.
yeah.
So
And
I think there are
for our listeners, who's Claude?
yeah, Claude is a one of the, just like ChatGPT, and most people have heard of ChatGPT. A lot of people haven't quite yet heard of Claude. Claude is also another form of another LLM, another subscription that I pay for AI. But I
This is why Luke can't do TouchStay or the other ones. No, I'm just joking.
yeah, all of my subscription budget goes to AI apparently.
I
But yeah,
mean, it probably is a smart thing to do, let's be honest.
I mean honestly, I am hooked. I'm using Claude Cowork for a lot right now.
Yeah.
And it's incredible the things that are either here now or just on the other side of the horizon as far as artificial intelligence goes. And I'm having it build out websites. I'm having it build me out spreadsheets.
Yeah.
I have it tracking and analyzing all of my revenue management across the entire portfolio. Now, do I still need to be involved with all that? Yes, but it provides me with a lot of insights that I might not have otherwise gotten.
No, yeah.
So, yeah, it's great. And as far as building out a website, it's pretty darn solid. It's way better than what I would do.
Yeah. Well, there's time consumption, the knowledge, like understanding how it's done. Yeah, that I don't know. Time is money to me. That's my
Hmm.
saying all the time. So if there's a
Yeah.
way to reduce that, I think the big thing that anybody experiences even now, like yesterday I bought a Tesla. And I when I went there, I was like, well, I want to test drive it before I buy it. And they're like, you can't. And I know this is kind of off subject, but it is. And then I'm like, I'm older generation. You can see the gray hairs in here, right? Like I'm used to this buying experience that I go to a dealership and I test drive the vehicle, right? And I think that that's just it's a similar concept of like AI and trusting AI, right? Because I've done things where I'm like, do this, and I'm like, I'm looking kind of detail. I'm like, ooh, that got caught off wrong, right? But then it's like, I don't think it's that it's trying to not capture it. It's just thinking about how you're giving it the information. What information are you providing it? How you say things, how you do things, because it gets to learn that just being more detailed, more structured, I think is one of the big things. So I think you can trust AI is what I'm saying. Just like I had to trust the Tesla dealership and it was fine. But it's also that just hesitation and pause if you're not used to using something like this that you're like, I don't know. I don't know about it. I don't know if I trust it.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely valid. But I think the big reason why I'm still not so sure about buying a car without driving it first. Like
It was
I'm
weird.
an early adopter on a lot of stuff, but I'm not so sure about that. But yeah, I mean the thing, and we're kind of off on a tangent here, but the thing with that I love about AI is that AI will teach you how to use AI.
Yeah.
So you can, unlike other pieces of technology where you have to learn how to use it and then use it, you can talk to AI and be like, hey, I'm not so sure how to get this done. Can you help me
Yeah.
learn how to prompt you properly to get this done? Or I mean, AI will write a prompt for itself, or you can show it a finished result and say, hey, I want to get a website like this.
Yeah.
Write a prompt that's going to allow me to tell you to do that,
Yep.
which is like, that's pretty next level. It's cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, so just wrapping it up, I think, again, we have various forms and modalities in how we can get these guest guidebooks to our guests. I think ultimately you can use any of them, right? Is what we effectively are saying. It's just where you're at in your journey, how many properties you have, probably is all taken into consideration. But I think some follow ups for us, and maybe we can share stories here in a podcast here in the near future, is just looking a little bit more about Happy Guest and seeing what we can do with AI and how maybe accurately it can mimic. So maybe we'll use my touch stay as the what do I want to say is the guinea pig, right, for AI, and let's see what it can do. And I think it'd be fun and interesting because maybe we're telling it we like it, but we want it built more like Happy Guest in that app scroll future, and see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we will report back.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. As always, a like, subscribe, and share would be appreciated.
All right. Take care, everybody. And we are on Instagram, Peak Season Podcast. Check us out. We will see you on the next one. Take care.